Hello, I'm Danielle DeTennis. Welcome to WisDOT Bureau of Structures Civil 3D Standards. Today I'll be going over the different components within the WisDOT Structures Civil 3D customizations. We have dedicated pages on the Civil 3D knowledge base, a custom profile, template files, tools, annotation styles, and insert sheets. The Bureau of Structures started using these components in the past year. Consultants drafting structures plans are encouraged to try these settings and tools, but there's no requirement to use them. If you need help using the WisDOT Structures components, try the Civil 3D knowledge base. The link to our pages is on this slide, and I'll put it in the chat too. Alternatively, you can just go to Civil3D c3dkb.dot.wi.gov and search for Structures Plan Production. These pages include video tutorials on using the structures palettes, blocks, tools, and insert sheets. They also include a couple tutorials on more difficult parts of setting up structures drawings. To access the Structures palette and start drawing structures plans, it's important to use the Structures or BOS profile. The shortcut to the Structures palette is available on the WisDOT Sheets ribbon in the Sheet Creation panel. Clicking this button will open the Structures palette. If you aren't already using the Structures or BOS profile, the button will give you the option to switch to it. Clicking OK will load the profile, and it will also create a desktop shortcut named Civil 3D 2022 WisDOT BOS. Using this shortcut, we'll start Civil 3D in the Structures profile. If the Structures button doesn't open the Structures tool palette, make sure your tool palette is toggled on. So here I have a short demo of loading the Structures tool palette and switching to the Structures profile. So after clicking OK or Yes to this prompt, you will switch over to the Structures profile, and the tool palette will be visible on the right. If it's not visible, make sure you go to the Manage panel in the WisDOT Sheets ribbon and toggle Palettes on. The Structures profile has a few differences from the roadway profile. First, the Structures drawing templates are available from the New Drawing dropdown in the Start page. @rec, @dia, and @IPE are set to work better with the Structures dynamic blocks. DGN import mode is set to import files into the current drawing, which is required to use the Structures MicroStation conversion tool. Anno Autoscale is off by default. Structures plans often use multiple annotation scales in a single drawing, and having Anno Autoscale on can make the drawing confusing and messy. Start a new Structures plan drawing by using one of the Structures templates. They are available from the New Drawing drop-down on the Start page or from the Structures tool palette. There are two template files. The first template is named struct-inch-start.dwt. This template should be used for most plan drawings, and it uses architectural units in feet and inches. Dimensions can be input using a combination of feet and inches, or feet or inches alone. In addition, fractions or decimals can be used. The second template is named struct-decimal-start.dwt. This template should be used for layout plan drawings that need to be coordinate correct. It uses decimal units in feet, and inches must be entered as a decimal of a foot. Use the Check Drawing Type button to check which template a drawing is using. This button will also check if important settings have been changed in the file that may impact the Structures tools and styles. The Structures template contains 111 standard layers. 83 layers are for structures and start with B_ for bridges. 28 layers start with H underscore and are used for hydraulics and hydrology. The layers can be filtered by type, and the Properties window has descriptions for all of the layers. These layers are suggested but not required. Feel free to add other layers that you find useful. The Structures tool palette has 6 buttons for creating sheet layouts, 3 for the Bureau of Structures and 3 for consultants. Each layout has a viewport set up to correctly display and plot ano-mask layers. Copy the viewport instead of creating a new viewport if you use these layers or blocks with these layers. The Sheet 1 layout contains a front page title block with attributes for the structure details. The Sheet 4 or Geotech layout contains a title block with a geotechnical legend block for subsurface exploration sheets. The Sheet 2 layout contains a typical title block for any other sheets. We have 5 custom tools available on the Templates tool palette. The first tool will purge any unused layers, dimensions, text, or M-leader styles that are not standard for the Structures templates. The Import Structures Layers tool will add all standard layers to the drawing. Fix Annotation Scales will remove all annotation scales except the currently active scale from the selected elements. Check Drawing Type will check the drawing's settings and let you know if they follow the Structures template files. Here's a short demo of starting new structures drawings and using some of the custom tools. So first we're starting an architectural inches drawing. I'm just going to label it as architectural inches. Next, using the tool palette, I'm going to start a decimal or layout in geo template. And again, these templates should be used generally for the first sheet layout file and the 4th sheet geo or subsurface exploration file. I'm going to label this one as decimal feet. So the difference between these two files are their units. So if I draw a block with unit 1 on each side, and then dimension it, you can see that 1 is 1 foot. And then if I do the same thing on the architectural inches file, I'll instead need to input the unit 12 for 1 foot. Alternatively, you can just put a tick next to 1 to label it as 1 foot. Then if I go down to the custom tools, I can click on check drawing type, and you can see it tells me that this is a details file in architectural inches. And same for the decimal foot file, it tells me that it's a layout in geo file. Finally, if I start up a new drawing and use a roadway template instead, I'm just going to label this with roadway. First, you can see that the font differs because our tools aren't working properly since it isn't a structures template. And then using check drawing type will tell me that this is an invalid file. Next, I'm going to show some of the other custom tools. So first, I'm going to turn on Ano Auto Scale, which is off by default, and then toggle through several different scales, and you'll see that the annotations will change size according with the annotation scale. Once I've done that, if you select one of the annotative elements, you'll see that it has multiple scales applied to it. So the Fix Annotation Scales tool will remove all of these additional scales. It'll set only the annotation scale of 2, which is active right now to those elements. Next, I'm going to add all of the roadway layers to this file. So if I go to the layer properties, you can see that I have 802 layers in this file right now. I'm going to select one of the layers to draw with and just draw a line with that layer. Next, I'm going to use the Purge Non-Structures Style tool. So that will purge all of the roadway layers except for the one that I drew with, but it will keep the structures layers. The last custom tool is the Convert DGN Drawing tool. This will convert MicroStation drawings to DWG and modify them to follow the Civil 3D structure styles. Any elements that are drawn on the old standard Bureau of Structures levels will be remapped to the corresponding Civil 3D layers. Text and dimensions will be converted to Civil 3D structure styles, and multi-leaders, which are typically broken into text and lines, are recreated as fully functional multi-leaders. This process isn't perfect, and some things will need to be manually fixed. Any levels that aren't the standard levels used by the Bureau of Structures will need to be remapped. CL and other MicroStation-specific symbols will need to be fixed. Fractions will need to be restacked. It also does not work with large or complex drawings or drawings with attached references. If you get an error, try removing references or copying the line work to a new drawing and try again. The Structures tool palette has shortcuts to use the different annotation tools in the annotation palette. You saw me using the General Text tool in the previous demo. These shortcuts will automatically set the active layer to a layer that starts with B anno. The layer will reset to whatever was last active after the tool is used. There are two dimension styles in the structures templates, annotative and standard, which is the same as annotative, except it's not annotative. Decimal foot template files have a scale factor of 12 applied to this style to properly dimension an architectural style. Click the arrow next to the Dimensions shortcut in the tool palette to open a drop-down menu with all the dimension tools. There are 4 text styles in the Structures template. Annotative, Standard, which is the same as annotative, but it's not annotative, Subtitle, and Title. Typically, the subtitle and title text styles should be formatted with an underline. There are 4 multi-leader styles in the Structures templates: Standard, Keynote, Dot, and Swirl. The Swirl and Dot styles are identical to the Standard style, but they have circle or swirl arrowheads instead of the standard arrow. The Keynote style has a note callout block to be used with the Standard Structures bubble notes. The callout code is an attribute and can be modified. The bubble notes block is Note Bubble. It is available at the top of the substructure palette. Alternatively, the Note Call block is available on the Anno palette. It contains a drop-down menu with descriptions of each callout code. Here I'll demonstrate how to use the Keynote multi-leader. So just click the button and then draw the arrowhead point, the leader landing, and press Enter to place the Keynote. Double-click to modify it. And then if you go to the substructure palette, here's the standard bubble notes block. So this has all of the keynotes, and you can read to find out which one you should be using. Alternatively, on the Anno tab, you can use the note callout block. So if you select the note callout, there is a drop-down menu which has all of the different keynotes with descriptions. There are around 125 blocks available through the Structures tool palette, and they are organized by structural element or sheet type. Block buttons on the tool palette will automatically switch your active layer to a standard structures layer that is best used with that block. The layer will return to the previous active layer after the block is placed. Most of the blocks are dynamic, meaning they can be quickly adjusted or changed with drop-down options, attributes, or grips. Many blocks have tutorial videos available on the Civil 3D Knowledge Base link shown here. I will also copy the link into the chat. Alternatively, you can go to c3dkb.dot.wi.gov and search for structures. This will give an overview of the tools and blocks that are available in the Structures tool palette. So we've mostly already covered the template tab of the tool palette. So first we have the templates themselves, and then the sheet layouts, and then finally the custom tools that we've gone over. The Anno tab has the quick annotations, and then it also has a variety of symbols. So this symbols block is a dynamic block that has a variety of different symbols like filled in triangle, hatched or checkered square, that sort of thing. And then there's a variety of other symbols like a weld symbol and the station mark. The General Plans tab has blocks related to drawing the first general plan sheet. So we have the Design Data block, which has notes for new and rehab bridges. And we have a sheet list, north arrow, waterway flow, lane arrows, stuff like that. We also have blocks related to drawing the bridge elevation, like the waterline symbol and the riprap toe detail. The next tab is cross-section and quantities. So as the title suggests, these are blocks related to drawing the cross-sections and quantities sheets. So we have the cross slope block, bid item table, general notes, and then typical details that are often shown on the cross-section and quantities sheets. The substructure tab has blocks related to drawing the substructures. So there are some general blocks like the beam seat and keyway, and then there's also this standard level notes block that was shown before. There is a pretty complex block that shows the A1 abutment section, and that's highly dynamic, so you can edit it, edit the attributes and the properties to fit basically any type of A1 abutment. And then same with the slope paving. This block works for MSE walls and different types of paving that you can select. And then we have a few details for piers as well. The rebar tab has a lot of blocks for detailing rebar. Those are all up here. So these would be more drawing the rebar within the plan section itself. And then down here are the bar bend details that go next to the bill of bars. The superstructure has pre-stressed shapes, so this has every single pre-stressed shape available, and then it has details for haunch and shear connection and sections through concrete slabs, and then also some details for the deck, for a girder bridge, and the top of deck elevation table and stuff like that. The barriers tab has a block with all the different barriers used on bridges, including temporary barriers and railings. And then we also have railings on top of parapets in the fences and railings block. The steel shapes tab just has a variety of different steel shapes. Most of these blocks are dynamic, so you pick the HSS block, for example, and you can select any size of HSS shape. And the culvert tab has various culvert details and reinforcing details. Finally, the miscellaneous tab has a typical section through a structural approach slab, and then various retaining wall details. And finally, a grid for subsurface exploration. And last, there is this viewport block. So this shows the usable outline inside of our sheet border. So if you want to draw a viewport, a single viewport for the entire drawing, that can be useful to show the borders in model space, and then just size the viewport in your layout to that outline. We'll demonstrate using the structures palette to create a cross-section and quantities sheet. So first, I'm starting a sheet template with the Sheet 2 title block. Double-click the title to open up the attributes and modify the sheet title. I'll name it Cross-Section and Quantities. And click OK. Next, I'm going to modify the viewport because I only need it in the top part of the page to draw the cross-section. And I'm going to place the bid items table. So this is a dynamic block. At the top, it has a note that says explode block to edit the table. It also has a drop-down arrow where you can select the number of spans, if it has a structural approach slab or not, and that will adjust the table accordingly. So I'm going to explode the block, and then I can get rid of that note and double-click inside the table to start editing. And I'm just going to click Tab to go between the cells in this table. Next down is the general notes. So I'm going to add general notes for new bridges and just put it in the corner of the title block. And this one also says insert block on sheet layout and explode to edit the general note text. So I'm just going to explode it and delete that note. And now I can read through the general notes and delete anything that I don't need. And then also I'm going to look for any red text and edit the red text as needed. Some of our blocks aren't dynamic. So first I'm going to put the profile grade line, which is a dynamic block. And again, you can see that it has a drop-down options, so you can have sag, crest, or tangent. I'm going to use the crest option, and then it also has an arrow to toggle the direction of the crest. There are also substructure call-out blocks, which can be used with the profile grade line. Just going to put on the proper snaps here. And you can just snap it to the profile line. And again, double click any of the attributes to edit them. And same with the structures callouts. And then finally, I'm going to place the rodent screen details. And this is not a dynamic block. You can see by clicking on it, all it has is the grip in the corner. Next, I'm going to show one more example of using the structures palette and blocks to draw a pier column. So first I'm setting the layer filter to pier, and I'm just going to draw the pier footing. 6 foot by 3 foot, and then I'm going to draw the center line of the column. Snap to the midpoint and draw it up 15 feet, and then copy it over to draw the sides of the column. And I accidentally put in 1.5 inches instead of feet. And correct that, and then copy over the other side. And then finally, I'm just going to change the layer to be concrete pier, not footing pier. Next, I'm going to draw the pier cap. So it'll have a 1 foot overhang and be 3 feet tall. And then I'm just going to draw over, it doesn't really matter because I'm just going to draw a break line there. And then just extend the bottom to be in line with the top. So next I'm going to use the title text just to place a title, and then I'm going to guess and check what scale, what annotation scale I should be using for this drawing. So right now it's set to 2, just going to try setting it to 4, and then because I don't have Anno Auto Scale on, I'm just going to use the Fix Annotation Scale tool to adjust that, that element. And 4 doesn't seem right, so I'm going to try 6. And that seems about right. So last I forgot to underline this title, so I'm just going to format it with an underline. Now I can use the dimension tool to draw some quick dimensions on this pier column. Next, I'm going to go and draw a break line. So this break line tool will automatically scale the break line properly for your annotation scale. And then I'm going to use one of the rebar blocks. So this is a dynamic block. I just need to move it down to the correct location. And then these dynamic blocks have a bunch of custom properties available in the properties bar. So you can see over here that I'm going to change the clear bottom dimension to 4 inches instead of 2 inches. And then in addition to manually editing the custom properties, you can also click on the handles and enter in the value that way, or just drag it to where you want it to be. Next, I'm going to use the development lab block. And I'm just going to rotate it. And then I can adjust the leg length. So here I can tell it how long the lap should be, and then I'm just going to drag the upper leg to go into the pier cap. And then if you notice, that lap visually looks way too small, and I can flip it to the other side, but the distance between the L bar and the lapped bar. It just looks too close aesthetically, and that's because I forgot to scale the block with the annotation scale. So I just scaled it up by 6, which is the annotation scale I'm using, and now I'm gonna pull those legs back in to what I had them before. So now visually it looks more in line with the rest of the drawing. Next, I'm going to place the footing bars. So I'm just going to rotate that 180 degrees and then move it into place. On the other side of the footing. And then I can adjust the bar clear. So this time, instead of editing the properties, I'm just going to click on the grip and then adjust it that way. And I can also grab the length grip and change the length of the bar so that it goes along the entire pier footing or column footing. And then I'm going to use this drop down menu and I can select the spacing of the bars, and that'll evenly place the bars along the pier footing. Next, I'm going to use the rotated stirrup block. So I'm going to rotate that. You don't have to rotate this one. You can also just grab the ends of the block, the grips there, and just manipulate it how you need. So that one has the option of being a stirrup with 2 bars on either end or a U-bar. And I'm going to scale it up by 6 again, and then just adjust the length so that it fits inside the column. And then just move it into place. Finally, this isn't really a place that you would put a U-bar, but I just wanted to show the U-bar block. So I'm going to put the U-bar up in the pier cap. So again, this has properties for the bar clear, and you can just drag the grips to change the width and length of the U-bar. This one also has a drop-down menu that shows the different bar sizes, and what that'll do is it'll adjust the radius of the stirrup to be correct to real life so that you can do more advanced drafting sketches to make sure that all of your rebar will fit. Next, I'm going to place the gold bars at a scale of 6. And this one has options for using parapet tables, which have, the 2 different quantities for both sides of the bridge, and using a bars table, series table or not. It also has an option for OLE where you can just insert a table that's linked to Excel, or you can manually type the values in like I'm doing here. So B901 is going to be that L bar that I placed at the beginning. So I'm going to use this L bar Venn diagram and place it in as a scale of 6. And that shows just kind of a variety of blocks and methods of drawing for the Structures tool palette. Insert sheets are available to download at the link shown. I will also copy this link into the chat. You can also just search Google for WisDOT insert sheets to find the web page. To use an insert sheet, click each of the options on the right side and use the drop-down arrow to select the option needed. Bureau Structures will no longer update the old MicroStation insert sheets, but they are still available to download online. So here I'm going to show the process of creating an insert sheet. First, I'm just going to search for WisDOT insert sheets on Google, and the first result is the Bridge Manual insert sheets page. I'm going to download the 32SS parapet insert sheet and then open it up. And you can see on the right here, there are different options for this insert sheet. So all I need to do is click on each of the options and then click the drop-down arrow next to the option to select the options that I want. And then also select the abutment skew. And then you can see that there's some overlapping lines in the middle of that drawing, and that's because some other options are turned on which conflict with my options. So in this case, it's the parapet on wings option, so I'm just going to turn those off by selecting NA. And then on the layout, you can see that this is a Bureau of Structures sheet border by default. So if you need a consultant sheet border instead, just go to the templates tab on the tool palette and click sheet 2 to get the consultant sheet border. And then you can just copy that and paste it into the original layout sheet. And once it's in, you just need to edit the title of the sheet to match the insert sheet. And finally, you can delete the original sheet border and move the new one into place. On the sheet layout, you'll notice that there are red hatched boxes that indicate values that need to be manually entered on the sheet border or on the insert sheet. So these are all attributes. You can just double click to edit those values. And you can see that these red hatched boxes will print in red. So if you want to print it out and manually mark it up, you can do that. And once you've finished editing all of these attributes, you can just turn off the layer. These are on the B-Anno Design Notes layer. So you can just turn that layer off, and then the hatched boxes will no longer appear. So that's the entire process for using our new insert sheets. This concludes the presentation on the Civil 3D WisDOT Structures components. The Bureau of Structures will continue to improve our tool palette, blocks, custom tools, and insert sheets. Please let us know if you have any suggestions or find any issues by emailing me at Danielle, DeTennis@dot.wi.gov. Thank you very much for listening, and I will answer any questions that you have.